Hey everyone, welcome to another Pitchside Chats. It is Valley here. We're excited to be able to have another conversation just about the cards that we love and we enjoy. Today I got a fellow collector with us, Anthony. Many of you know him for stock cards on IG and other places. What's up, Anthony?
What's going on, KJ? How are you?
Good. I'm thankful and grateful that you're willing just to hop into the conversation with us today as we just talk about the game that we love and enjoy, but also the cardboard that we collect. So we would love just kind of learn a little bit more about how you got into collecting women's soccer cards.
Yeah, well, definitely thanks for having me on and creating this platform for us to kind of discuss women's sports cards. And so I really appreciate you so much. And um, you know, I'm just excited to hang out with you. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like we
yeah.
got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I think even on that, like we first connected at Chantilly Car Show, and then we connected again at the National about 3 years ago, I think. And so it's dope to be able to bring you on here to be able to have this conversation. So really, really thankful to be able to dialogue. I've grown from you as a collector and learning what some of the moves that you've made to collectively as a whole with y'all's group. So just I look forward to hearing about how you actually got into it because I don't think I fully know the story of how you got into collecting women's soccer cards in particular.
Yeah. So I October 1st, 2019, we bought our first card. So it's
Mm.
like we're in at a good time, but I still very much feel like a newbie in the whole thing. And I know that might sound a little bit weird, but it's true. I collected as a kid, and I was a baseball player and a soccer player, so not much going on for soccer cards in the '90s. So I did collect baseball cards, and played both sports for a lot of my life. It's been a big part of my life. And I just kind of saw an opportunity to jump back in. And it was a way to kind of get closer to the game in a way, because I was living in Rome from 2009 to 2012. So I would say my love for the game grew even deeper. And I got more into coaching professionally, and just looking at the soccer, the football, as just a way to kind of go through life and to just appreciate the game more and more every day, but to make like commit to that lifestyle. So, um, you know, you're a coach, so you understand that as we develop ourselves professionally, it's like we feel empowered to, want to help players and to want to make a difference for the game and to help grow the game. So I look at cards as a way to kind of get closer to the game,
Mm.
um, and to celebrate the game. And um, you know, uh, I did look at it as an avenue to kind of earn money. It was like, hey, rather than sports betting or, you know, like, I could buy these assets and, you know, hold on to them and maybe trade some, and maybe sell, like, and kind of like look at your sports card portfolio as if it was like your soccer team in a way. And um, investing in the assets in that way, and to kind of create that. Uh, I don't know, just the kind of a way to kind of cash in a way. But no, it was absolutely a business out of the gates. And what's nice about that is it was like I was so strong minded as to like to create this business and to do this. But the longer I go through it, the more it's like, nope, it's lifestyle too. I just got back from Chantilly. It's like going to share a weekend with Gio and have the hotel room together, to walk the floor together, to hope, no trade night in this one, but we created our own trade night. And we ate food, and it's just like so fun. So it's become more of like a collector's experience and a lifestyle experience, more so than a business in a way. But it's a business. But it's a lot of fun. And yeah, so October 2019 was the kind of comeback for me for cards. And I remember that winter we invested heavily into the gold standard product.
Mm.
That was kind of like I was ripping some chrome, I was ripping 16, 17 select, I was ripping some 17, 18 select because it hadn't gone crazy yet with Mbappe. 16, 17 select was probably like my first like love of
Mm.
like just ripping wax and getting cool inserts. And for the women's side, it was the 2015 product. I would say that we ripped a lot. We ripped a whole bunch of
Yeah, I do recall you all picking up some of those cards and kind of moving those or breaking those and things like that. Uh,
that.
I'm curious. So you said you're heavier to that before the gold standard because you have some of the key gold standard cards as well too. A few one-on-ones, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So did y'all pool those or did you acquire those?
It was both. We were breaking. I think it was January 2000. No, December 2019 when that product rolled out. It was like right at the end of the year,
Mm.
and then we broke in. I would say 4 or 5 different break rooms simultaneously. I would say for at least the whole first month,
Mm.
probably like a month and a half, and it continued to break the product even when Obsidian came out like a little bit later. That was going like simultaneously, like, and we were in like 4 or 5 break rooms trying to get into. It got competitive after a while, but trying to get into all those breaks for U.S. women primarily, but we dabbled into some other categories too. But we're successful with it. Like we were in like the first 30 to 40 with Cyrus,
Mm.
probably like the first 20, 15 to 20 with Austin,
Mm.
Highland. We were breaking there locally again with Tuga. Luis, he was breaking it. We were breaking it our set. We were running breaks.
Mm.
Um, so the gold standard product that's kind of like was our first bigger push into acquiring women's cards at scale.
Hmm. I think that's even dope that you mentioned that. It reminds me of just even how that's like the kind of the breakthrough season for the modern market with a lot of these more premier autos and cards coming out for the product. I mean, beyond nobility, you got Gold Standard Select. I mean, it's making some waves with some of these key cards here. I know we can go back to Americana with some of those game worn jerseys. Not Americana. So Americana is great in 2012, but I was thinking actually that Panini set in 2015. Even with some of those game worn jerseys, I know you mentioned that as well. So just even like hearing you talk about kind of acquiring the cards as assets, you see a sense of value in these cards that are clearly underrepresented or undernoticed or realized within the market in certain ways. I'm curious, what player maybe stuck out to you early that you just felt like this player's undervalued. They're worth collecting. We need to put them within our portfolio of cards.
Ertz.
Hurts.
Yeah, no, because I don't know if that was if you want to go later than that, like, but the 2015 product we were breaking it, and I was like, we were breaking it, I was opening it, and I was like, Ertz, because I always I felt like Ertz was undervalued,
Mm.
definitely at that point in time, but just in general, I think if we can reflect on the team from 2015 through 2000, we'll just say 20. I think we can agree that Julia Ertz arguably was the most important figure on that roster throughout that time. Just as like the rock type of a player where I felt like we needed her there and she was always there.
Mm.
Uh, in a different roles. So I know it wasn't, the big goal scorer or winger or um somebody who would put it the face, but I think Julie Ertz was somebody who I was like, we're gonna, we're gonna push this player, and not because we wanted her cards to be more expensive, just because I thought as a coach, like I thought she was like our glue.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, so it's interesting, like to hear you say this, like tactically as a coach, I'm hearing this. I mean, more of a central player, um, fights well for the ball, brings the energy, the presence, leadership. I think it's interesting because within the soccer card market, oftentimes some of these central players, unless they play in like a higher role, like a 10 and they're scoring goals, they're undervalued typically. So I'm excited to even just hear you toss out a different name in the conversation because if someone's listening right now, they're probably like, okay, he's gonna say Alex Morgan or Carly Lloyd at that point or something like that. Kind of
Yeah.
going after their cards. So I appreciate that because within our market, on both sides of it, it's just a very underappreciated position that she plays. Um, Within any of her like her stints with the team, she has not played in the role that you would put a lot of money behind typically.
Yeah, no, it's you're absolutely right. I was just like it was like Ertz, like I just loved her as a player.
Yeah.
Um
Do you feel like Lindsey Horan is like the new Ertz for the team? So I asked you that because the way
no.
the staff is putting her in, and the position they put her in, they feel like she's a glue. So that's why I was just asking that question.
Yeah, it's yeah. I like Haran. Um and I do admire her leadership right now. Like it was one of those things that I was kind of like questioning, but I think they're totally different people. I just think Ertz did it a different way. I feel like she had that kind of Lloyd edge to her, and then
Mm,
also like executed it on the field. I picture her being tough with her teammates, like one of those players in practice where if it's like kind of like low, I feel like she's like a player that's always switched on in regards to the
mm.
game and how she trains herself as a professional. So I see her kind of like getting into the team a little bit. But yeah, I picture that type of I don't think I'm too far off because of what she deployed all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because even before her, there's more of like a Shannon Box in that role, like really kind of an anchor type of player. And so even as I'm thinking about this kind of going off script a little bit, who would be the player that you think has the most potential to be that type of rock for the women's team right now?
Um, it's probably Haran how they have it positioned,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So that's why I asked the question because it's interesting because Haran doesn't get that much hobby love either. And so I was just thinking through that. I know they've been rotating Coffee in more centrally to kind of anchor to allow Haran to have more of a mobility in the sense you could float a little bit more. So I mean Sullivan's played that spot too, but
What do
it's
you think it would look like? What do you think it would look like if we did now that I'm aware that Shaw can play in the center of the park that way? I had no idea. Um, or even that we were looking at that. But very cool. Can we go Coffee Shaw um Macario or Coffee Shaw? Who were we just talking about? Take Carano. Coffee Shaw at Coffee Moultrie Shaw.
Shaw.
Coffee Moultrie Shaw. And
Hmm.
just super, super patient for Coffee in that situation.
Yeah.
Kind of let Moultrie be box to box and just Shaw almost like I don't like to compare this way, but like this um just under the point and but like has the like a Musa effect almost like Eunice
Yeah.
Musa where it's like this like just physical like presence and force and then as a 10 like different positions let her kind of if she has the ability to read the game and put herself in between the lines and create stuff that way. I think that would be fun to watch and I love Haran but I'm just trying to think how we can I felt like our midfield was up in the air. We didn't really know what we were going to do.
Hmm. I think it would definitely help the speed of play. I think the game is shifting in certain ways and the pace of play. I think as a target for head, Fran is great. I think there's leadership elements that are there. I don't want to go too heavy on her, but I do like Shaw's creativity at the 10 and the defensive work rate. I think you get
Yes.
something out of
Yes.
her that's different than Rose Lavelle. I know people might give me some smoke for this, but I'm gonna be real.
No, we're
Uh,
both gonna get it after this.
yeah,
Terrible
yeah,
take, terrible take, Anthony.
yeah,
Terrible.
yeah. And so it's it's one of those things where I think the form in which Shaw's in, the style of play, we need to help um, to encourage that freedom, that mobility, and the creativity there. Um, you add that alongside of a informed nine. Again, that's another kind of push on it. I think we're dangerous in the final third. I th
Yeah,
I think there's many moments where there's a lagging behind in the pressure from the nine. Swanson looked good the other night when she came in against
yeah.
Japan. And she played quality minutes for, that was it 60 or 70 she played. Grateful to have her back. Uh, we got to figure out the nine situation now.
Yeah, I mean, first, I'm into like Macario. Just put Macario there because like her and Shaw can be interchangeable if they put Shaw at the 10, right? Like
Yeah.
Shaw knows how to play center forward, so and let Macario kind of dip off and just have that kind of exchange with each other, understanding. And then the other two, you can have them like this. Rodman, Smith have experience playing on the right. Um, you know, um Pew on the left,
Mm.
kind of running at players that way. And, it's been nice to see Neiswanger so involved, like high up the pitch. There can create some synergies there with like, what is that going to look like with Pew and Neiswanger there?
Yeah.
Um, Fox is doing some good things on the right. Doesn't seem like she's like our go-to there for that side. Um, yeah. I don't know if the answer is Coffee either. Like, what's the difference between Coffee and Sullivan? It's just like who's going to be our 8, who's going to be our 10, because we have all those attacking options that we can always explore,
Right.
like the front three. So who's gonna what's the combination of players, and then who's gonna be in our midfield?
Mm.
give
I
me
think
give me 5-6 midfielders, because I feel like it's like 15 choices right now. It's just all over the place.
no, I think it's a good assessment because for the Olympics we can only take 16 field players.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so you need flexibility in that roster. And so I mean that's gonna make a Crystal Dunn much more valuable to the team because she can play that back row and get forward a little bit, right? So I'm very curious to see who makes a cut in the midfield because I mean there's 6 players vying for the front three positions. There's one that's gonna be probably not gonna make it. So you're gonna have Williams, Macario, Morgan, Smith, Swanson, and Rodman. That's if you
Wow,
can
wow, wow.
move Shaw into the midfield,
Yeah,
uh,
you're gonna have to do that, I feel like.
right, to take her. And so it makes sense why they tried that to see is she viable here?
Yeah.
Because one of them aren't making the cut on that type of roster. So it's going to be interesting. And so even thinking about that, like
Haran. Use Shaw, Haran for midfield. Shaw,
yeah,
Haran. Um, my team
Moultrie
take
played well.
I take Moultrie on my team.
Yeah, she's played well.
You would take her too?
Yeah, I would.
Um,
There's a calmness and technicality that is helpful.
and then like Sullivan Coffee. Can you get by with can Shaw and Moultrie and Haran eat up enough minutes at the 8, 9, and 10? Can those three rotate that position, and then you have Coffee and um Sullivan to play more of like a 6. Um,
Do you see them not taking Rose if healthy?
I forgot about Rose.
That's the thing though. She's healthy. It's kind of hard not to put her on the roster.
Yeah, I think you got to take Rose too. Well, then you have 6 midfielders. There you go.
So yeah, that's the thing though. That's 6 and 6. That's 12. That means 4 defenders. You need the versatility in that midfield who can also play.
That. So, ooh.
It's hard. It's going to be hard. And
You can't just take 4 backs though. Is that where we're at? Is it like 6 attackers, 6 midfielders?
so
Oh, dear heavens.
they
You can't
haven't
do that.
specified. They haven't specified. That's why the versatility of what positions people can play is going to be important. So they're probably going to
Uh,
have to take 2 extra backs at least.
yeah, I don't think you can take 6 front runners.
Right.
unless you play like a 4-3-3. I don't know. I don't think you can really justify it.
So out of that crop, you're as a
I would
collector.
take 5 backs and 5 midfielders. Rose, either Rose or pick Rose or like Coffee. Unfortunately, like Sullivan, Coffee, one of those maybe has to not go if you're gonna take Rose.
Right. So out of that group of players we were just talking about going into the national, let's say buy, sell, drop. All right, between Macario, Shaw, let's make it good. Let's go Sophia Smith
Buy, sell, drop.
or trade.
Shaw. You did Shaw,
Yep, Shaw,
Macario.
Macario, Smith going international, going into the Olympics. We got some
I
time.
think Shaw's stuff, despite her run right now, I still think Shaw's stuff is kind of low. Um, so I'll probably buy Shaw.
Shaw.
Just understanding their markets a little bit. I think, I think Shaw's stuff compared to those two is low, and we know how crazy Smith stuff can get.
Mm,
We've seen Macario stuff at the height of the market. It's not nowhere near that now. And Macario stuff in general is very down compared to when her cards were selling at the peak. Um, uh, I'm probably gonna drop Smith. That's weird because she's so good, but um,
the question is she as good for the national team as she is for a club team?
that's a good question. To
That-
me, she looks stressed when she plays. She looks like not comfortable. She looks stressed. That's an interesting question.
I think
So
that's
you
the
see
reason
her as
why
like a
Robin's getting
Portland
minutes.
Portland Thorn for life.
She fits in well to the system. It lends to her getting many shots. She's a high volume shooter. If you look at me, she leads, I think you think the NWSL in shots taken, maybe, or she's high up there at least. The system
She's one of the
feeds to
more
her.
direct players I think I've ever watched.
Yeah,
Just gets the ball and it's
right.
like one of them boats.
Yeah. And
Yeah. So I'm dropping Smith. I'm buying Shaw. And what was the other one? Sell.
yeah,
Sell.
yeah,
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe sell Smith because you could sell her stuff high.
yeah. Oh, kind of high now. It's dropped too. It's interesting the market right now. That'd be a good segue for us. How do you feel about the market right now? Do you feel like it's an opportunity? Do you feel like it's in a good state? How do you feel?
Yeah. No. It's what makes this space so unique. At least why I enjoy it so much is because you pay attention to what's going on. At least I try to pay attention. Like you've taught me so much already. Just we've been talking for maybe an hour today. It's just show and then also before the show. So it's like I've learned so much from you in that period of time that I wasn't doing. And it's like but I think if you kind of watch what's going on and you're able to create a plan, that to me is always fun. And then to go and execute the plan, it's always like a fun process. So it's like this is another interesting time in the space in the hobby. And I always look forward to that, how it ebbs and flows and how you have to kind of zig and zag and morph and, kind of be an optimist and just roll with it and adapt to it and play that. So I'm enjoying some of the buying right now.
Hmm.
I feel like we're not buying a lot, but when we do buy, it's like, hey, we can flip this card, or hey, this is one that we kind of want to tuck away and put in the vault, so to speak, and then maybe sell it another time. So I feel like we're enjoying the being patient and
Hmm.
then buying the things that we really want to buy. I think there's a lot of opportunities to kind of do that right now. I don't know how long it's going to last.
Hmm.
So it's like we're trying to kind of take advantage of that.
Hmm.
Um, some of I noticed that like some of the Don Russ, like 22, 23 Don Russ stuff even some of the select stuff around like Rodman, Smith, some of that stuff kind of like dipped out like big time. So and we have a lot of that stuff. So um, I think it's kind of just understanding the space and like that kind of that excites me. That gets me excited, zig and zag, and to kind of make adjustments. And I'm rather enjoying it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it for sure. I think it's an opportunity for those who love watching the game, going on the journey and the story with the players, and collectors. In that sense, it is a great opportunity. Even those for looking to sell later on, I think it's a buy time in many ways. I don't call bottom. I'm not trying to call bottom, so I'm not giving financial advice here, but I think there's a accessibility that
Yeah.
hasn't been before on certain cards that we're not guaranteed that it will return to that. And that is intriguing. Like so for me, I like some of the top, 10 players of all time. That's who I'm looking at as a collection. Marta is more obtainable right now. Christine Sinclair is more obtainable. And so I'm monitoring that. I'm watching that. Even Mia Hamm stuff, some of the lower end stuff is obtainable. But even also like the modern release of the Chrome set has dropped significantly at an access point where if you want it long term right now to get a red or to get a out of 25 orange, you could do that on that first Chrome set at a much more reasonable rate than you could before. And that's only benefits the collectors that are going to put those away, even for those who are trying to invest for long term, for even to sell later. That's better when
Mm.
collectors have the cards versus people just trying to quickly buy in and sell. It helps stabilize the markets. I think we're in a stabilization process. And so I think it's a journey that we're on because I wouldn't say we're stable yet. I think that's why we see such a influx. I think there's people who cracked Panini Select, and they got hyped over getting the field levels. They snatched up some of them, but they early on they went higher. Now they're flooding the market over time, and they're dropping significantly. Certain cards that were $800 are now going under 200. I saw like the Rodman Select Gold sold for 175 on eBay the other day, and
PSA 9, was that PSA 9?
I was raw. It was
Oh,
raw.
that was raw. Oh,
It wasn't the like the true gold though. Let me say
okay. It was Gold Mojo, was it?
that. Yep.
That Mojo?
And so to see that type of shift, it's interesting, but it's like, man, if that goes into that collector's hand, the collectors that don't come off of stuff, it's going to make those cards much more rare that you will only see when you go to certain spaces that they're pulling these cards out. Um, and so I think it's an interesting time if people are paying attention for the pickups. And I think we went through a season where it had enough hype because the game's growing so drastically throughout the world that everybody wanted a chunk of it, but they didn't want the long-term weight with the chunk. So it's again opportunity. Again, if you're looking at it, you see chances, and that's how I've been looking at it. And I've been trying to pick up, slowly but surely, these different cards I think will be helpful. As I kind of go the balance of I see myself as a value investor. I'm a collector, but
Yeah.
I'm also trying to make, in my opinion, sensible pickups there. Um, and
Opportunist.
yeah, I got to take advantage of that, buying at the right time. And I like the options right now. Like
Me
I
too.
got a Jaden Shaw for a good price on the out of 50. Um, and I was like, man, this is the out of 50 auto blue. Like um, a year ago would have been over a grand card. I wasn't there.
And that's crazy. And here it is. She's coming out like 5 starts in a row with a goal, playing multiple different roles. And I hope the U.S. Women's National Team are thinking that it's like you play, we'll make a spot for you in the starting 11. I mean, that's how I feel about the whole thing. It's like she's gonna play somewhere. Like she's gonna keep starting. You score goals, you're gonna keep starting. I don't think it's one of those things where when she's on, I don't see it as she's really hurting us at all. You brought up the defensive side of the ball with things, and her athletics, she's a fantastic athlete. So when it comes time to running that that full field press, I think she's going to be a key point right center of park right there.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that's
top of all of offensive stuff. It's just really cool, you know.
it is. It is. So thinking about kind of this modern side of the market, what do you believe right now is going to be the most memorable set long term? Thinking about these players, maybe what player is going to carry that set in your opinion, but what's going to make it memorable?
So like modern, do we
So
include 2010 in there?
I do not include 2010. So for me, I see that as
The,
pre-modern. If you want to consider that modern, you can, but I see that as pre-modern. I see the Alex Morgan release as the turning point of um going toward the modern era. So we're
so
so
2011 and forward.
yeah, that's kind of for me the cutoff. 2010 is like the end of the pre-modern because we're getting those older legends and like their sets are more standalone, and then we're turning the corner from there. It's focused on a lot of times the 2015, 2019 US women's players.
Yeah. So 2011 and forward. Um, well, I think for like an important set, I think it's worth noting the 2011 Panini Women's World Cup stickers. I
Mm.
think it's really cool to have all the players who were involved in women's football at that point in time uh, with those stickers. So I think from a historical significance standpoint of view and probably like scarcity standpoint of view, how the scarcity of the 2011 Panini women's stickers compared to how many 2015 stickers there are and how many 2019 and 23 stickers there are. I think 2011 is very unique in that way. Um, so I think yeah, again, I think that sets is really important, and it might not have these massive like waves or fluctuations, but I feel like it's a set for women's cards that is just really important. And we're always going to want to have pieces from that set in our collection. Um, so I don't know if I was going to go in order here, but that's like one that's
Yeah,
like
six
out of
times.
the gate. If that's the border and the line, then
Yeah.
that's definitely one that I want to throw in there as
Yeah.
iconic and cool. And for me as a US women's collector, it's like if I'm digging deep, it's like there's key moments in there, like that loss to Japan in the World Cup and what it did to kind of fuel our team and our nation. And thinking about the rise of players. Lloyd was already a star, but her coming up short in that tournament, and I think one of the surrounding Olympics didn't go necessarily the way that she wanted to either. I think it kind of built up, uh, pushed Wambach forward for 2015 as a leader, and it pushed Lloyd forward, and all of them, Morgan, and they went through those tough times together. So I think 2011 for the sticker itself, but also like for me as a US collector, I'm like, this is a turnkey moment. This is like a point in time when we really started, and then 2015, 2019 running, and then plus the Olympics, it's like, wow, we really put ourselves on the map in those years. And I
Yeah.
think it was because of maybe what we came up short on in 2011. So just an interesting little fun take. I always like 2015 because that's kind of like it's like always like a fun set for us. It's how we got our start, and we still have like 500 complete sets of this stuff in the back. From it's it's I think that's more of a fun category than anything else. But I do like the 2015 better than the 2016 Panini USA Soccer, and
Okay.
I think I don't know if it's the autos maybe or
Which one has the duels?
the 2015.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some cool duels, like you
Yeah.
start mixing up like Morgan and Wambach and Lloyd in this one, and like different permutations of stuff in there. It's everything's match worn. There's some really short printed patch autos that are cool, like Ertz True Rookie, Morgan's to 10, and just all sorts of spicy stuff. The duels, like the triple patches. You
Yeah.
got press in there too, like her cards, her first, kind of USA cards in a way. Or first, not first USA cards, but like you got match worn press in there,
Yeah.
Kristen Press.
Yeah.
Um, so I like those sets. I got into an interesting conversation about 2017 Select.
Mm.
It's like the infusion of women's players in those sets.
Mm.
I think in a way is interesting and unique, and we don't really have a lot of the 2017 women's stuff there. We have some press. Um, I think we're going to be going after Morgan here soon, but they have the on card autos too. Like some of those are like really cool. If I answer your question, because I just feel like I'm spitballing here. I'm saying, and then I'm taking your thunder. The things that you told me that you're going after. I'm like saying it, but it's not me. It's you.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Nobility, right? Nobility. I love Wambach, so it's like nobility, please.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's some dope on card autos in that set for sure. I think what you mentioned about the World Cup stickers is pretty important. I think in the globalization of the game, representing all these other countries and having the bridge of some of these older legends with these younger players, I think it's a key set, and I think sticker collecting is large globally. I mean, WSL has their sticker sets are coming out now. I mean, it's growing in Europe. I think it's going to be hard to not see 2011 as being a key set for that reason. But I also like what you talked about from being a U.S. Women's National Team collector. There are some transition sets I think are key for getting out some of these key cards for these players that everybody enjoys. And even I think even for the 2015 Panini, I think it's doing something particular with introducing these game worn patches and things like that. I mean, I wish that there was a Mia Hamm game worn stuff from earlier, like during her playing days. That would be amazing. You
Yeah.
know, I know we get some stuff later on with like Allen and Ginter and things like that, but it's different than playing days, like in the heat of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because in other markets, during playing career cards, begin to separate themselves from outside of playing career cards. And I think that's an underexplored area for the women's market. If I could just toss that in there of
Please.
focusing on those playing career cards that might be key for these players, not just that was produced later on. Because at some point, the Paninis and Tops are going to come back for these legends and try to pull out the money, right? Get the money for these players and those cards. And so I think it's always good to be aware of the difference there. So
Is there a possibility for like Mia Hamm match worn stuff to ever happen?
I would say that it should never not be a possibility because as long as they have a match worn jersey, they can do it.
Right? Like,
So there is with Allen and Gintner, I'm pretty sure they have some game worn patches for her. I think so. It's either that or at least if it's not game worn, there's like player associated type of thing. I'm pretty sure I've seen those patches. I'm kind of like so-so on Allen Ginter, but I think that's out there. But I think if we got a like exquisite type of set with Mia Hamm in it and Lloyd and Wambach, and then you add in there Morgan, that's big. That's a big time set. It's a big time set. I do know that there's some hopes of doing that with some of the Champions League teams of having a more premier set. I hear that's on the horizon. And if that comes, I think that would be a big deal if we get that Eminence type of set. Flawless,
ooh,
like
yes.
that will move the needle in a direction. My question is, who absorbs all those cards? That'd be the question I have. Because the Parkside women's collector and the Topps Chrome women's collector is sometimes a different crowd. And
Yeah.
the buy-in point and what people feel like is reasonable looks a lot different. So, um,
I mean, we can absorb some of it. You know, it's one of those things where if I have enough notice about it, we could definitely shift the portfolio around, so to speak. You know, it's still that. It's not like we have all this disposable you know, cash that we can just deploy. It's, you know, it's we're grinding just like everybody else is, you know. It's but yeah, no, we could shift some things around for that. I would like to think that we would get some crossover. I think you would get a lot of people. I think you would get like Adams and Roberts who have collections of men's cards and also collect women's cards. I think you might see people like that like dip their toes in a little bit more with some high end women's stuff and not even blink. And I think you would see things like that probably at scale. I think there would be other people who, you know, like Gus. We brought up Gus earlier. You know, like he collects Lauren James. You know, you better believe it. If LJ's got some type of like crazy patch auto or on card, you know, something flawless or eminence, you know, there's gonna be people that you know who like those players are gonna jump in, and I think you would get different levels. I think you would get, you know, I think you would get people buying into breaks. I think the savvy collectors would probably be patient early on and wait, you know, until it dips down a little bit and then jump in. So you might get different levels
mhm.
of participation with a bigger product like that. But I think it would sustain. And I think it would sustain because of where we're at in general with the market. And I think there's other people that are like us that are trying to build buying power and maybe get ready for some new releases so that you can play and flip.
Yeah.
But I think it would be taken well, you know,
Mm.
and especially because there's a lot of people like us that are talking about like, where is it? Where's our flawless?
Yeah.
You know, where's our eminence? You know, besides that like octet that they have, which that's a
Does
card I'm eyeballing right now, by the way. It's like
oh, some of the Barcelona Chrome one? Oh, no,
I
you're
think
talking
it's
about
from
the Eminence one.
2018 Eminence.
Oh, okay. You're out.
There's yeah, there's like the four players and then there's the
Yeah.
eight players.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm geeking out as a US. I just like the players that are on it. I think it's appropriate. I think it's like
I just wouldn't want to carry it around.
yeah, it's like
That's the turn off to me on the card. I'm like, that, where do I fit that in
you
my
can't
case?
even put that in the Zion case.
Right. Right. I gotta reconfigure everything.
Well,
So I don't,
maybe it could if you I don't know. You'd have to like, but yeah, I
yeah.
see what you mean.
So, so kind of, I mean, think about the market. I know there's a project you're working on getting ready for national.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear you talk about the project you're working on, introduce it to our listeners here on this
thank
one,
you.
and how you're seeking to integrate women's soccer cars into that project.
Yeah, no, it's well, thank you again for providing the platform for us to be able to kind of share information about it. You know, it's you know, these types of things help events like the one that we're trying to run to grow. So thank you again for that. It's I'm grateful. KJ, thank you. Yeah, so the SoCo Expo coming to you this July 25th to 27th in Cleveland, Ohio. Our events are Thursday, Friday, Saturday that week, starting at 6:01, going to midnight, an all soccer card event where dealers from all over the world can showcase their cards. You know, we have sponsors. We really like the people that are getting involved, and you are a sponsor. Thank you so much for being part of our events in that capacity. We'd like to think that we're targeting the best dealers in the world to come in and to kind of showcase their cards, and also encouraging people to just, you know, kind of come and understand that they have the space to buy, sell, trade cards, to interact with people who they knew through Instagram, and, you know, now have an opportunity to meet face to face and shake hands and chop it up and talk hobby and talk the beautiful game and
Mm.
be together, you know, for an extensive period of time. Maybe some planning ahead of time with the dealers and talking. One of the things that's new to what we're doing is we just brought on mascots. So sponsors and attendees will have an opportunity to upload their cards and share that information with people well ahead of the show. So we're excited to have that feature. I see like deals happening before the event and, maybe en route type of thing. So that's really cool. Obviously we want to try to target people from all over the world to attend our event because we would like to have that diversity and to, have people, maybe cards that you and I haven't seen a lot of that other people would have access to a little bit easier because of where they live or because of they were in at a different time or like really, really early when we weren't involved, for example, or just to create really what the game's about. Football is just like, it's a global game and it's played all over the world. So we want to have global cards from all over the world and just create this beautiful event where football collectors, dealers, investors can buy, sell, trade cards and talk the beautiful game. So we're trying to reach out to everybody. We're doing a lot of listening. Like certainly if you had a suggestion for people who you thought should be at the event and to help promote, say, women's sports cards, we would be all ears and listening to you and listening to those recommendations and then going out to try to reach out to those people to bring them on to be at our event. It is since day one been a concern of mine and making sure that we have women's soccer cards at this event because I just believe in them so much. But this isn't just the men's game. This isn't just the women's game. It's for all of us. So I definitely want to have that balance and feel a little bit of added pressure to make sure that is brought to life. I went to the Chantilly show and I remember 2 years ago, there used to be a lot more soccer there. I would say now there's a lot less soccer there. So Chantilly, like if I'm just comparing, it's like Chantilly doesn't have that balance of soccer there right now. It's like at our event, I want to have the balance of soccer, men's cards, women's cards, old cards, new cards, set completing, monster cards over here, and just have it all. Bins, like what's a show without bins? We can't have people there like just all slabs and no bins, right? It's like I'm trying to find bins people. So it's like Dan's coming, thank God. Like Dan, my friend Dan has bins, like, to have a well-rounded show, diverse, people from all over the world.
Well, I think that is going to be greatly appreciated. I look forward to going and being a part of it and, connecting with the collectors that, I'm chatting with on IG and other spaces, but also those who listen. I look forward to being able to connect with them there and just talking, like you said, the beautiful game and building relationships over that which we love and enjoy. And for me, going to a card show is an experience where I'm meeting new people, I'm connecting with old friends, we're chilling. You're not worried about the grind of the work week or those types of things. And in that process, you're making deals, and there's kind of an enjoyment of seeing what other people are collecting, what they appreciate, and how you can take something that you maybe don't value in the same way for something that you value a lot more, and making deals to kind of care for both parties. That's a very unique thing that happens at these shows, in a very like wholesome way where, I think families can get their kids involved with, sports cars, investing in it, but also particularly just I think this show's gonna be an opportunity, the national, but also particularly SoCo, the expo, to really allow the soccer collectors for us not to be chilling in the hotel lobby, posting up, trying to make deals, but we have a spot to go to that we can talk the game and make connections, not trying to hunt down the 6 tables at the national. Everyone's like, oh, they got soccer over there. Let's go all the way over there. Because that's a
It was
real
a
thing.
gauntlet, wasn't it? A
Yeah, that's a
gauntlet
real.
trying to, and then after a while, like I like movement and walking, so I don't have a problem with that. But it hits a point when you are maybe a little tired from walking around. You just want to, right here is good, and you just end up like sitting down on the floor, like moving off to the side so you don't get stepped on.
Right.
I remember sitting on the floor to do deals. I was like, oh, look, right here is good, I guess, and just finding a spot off to the side. And you said it, like to have a platform, to have a space, to have, it's no knock on what we've had in the past, but there's plenty of room here. It might get busy and there might be a lot of people, but it's a sizable facility that we've acquired, and there's gonna be 140 tables there. So like we're pumped about that, and there's gonna be other little spaces, and there's a stage, and I'm picturing very good things. When we go to a show like this weekend, it's just trying to make connections with people and say, hey, we're doing this thing. Are you going to Cleveland this summer? Oh, because when you're done with the national, please come to our events. We're hosting. Here's the address. Here's the information. Here's where we're going to be. And they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. Because now it's like, your day's not over necessarily, or you can like even like play with your days a little bit. Like, I want to walk the national floor, so it's like I better get my ass there on a like Wednesday early so I can walk it before we start setting up for our event on Thursday. I think it's a way of bringing more people together too. Getting more people together for a period of time. I think that's one thing that it's proven that it's going to do. And I'm picturing like 2 years from now doing this. Can we do this concurrent with the World Cup? Right? Can we create events where it's like, nope, you're coming to Philly, or you're coming to New York City, or I'm throwing this out there. I'm not saying we're gonna have a future event in Miami or California or wherever. We're gonna meet in Miami, and we're gonna have an event. We're gonna watch, and we'll have the games going, and we'll have all the collectors together. It's like stuff like that. It's like this is some of the things that we're picturing possible. So, and that's like utopia for me. That's like, like be together with all your hobby friends and watching the game and talking about it, and then like put the cards out there, and just knowing the crew that we get to associate with on a daily basis and having them all together. It feels good to kind of picture those possibilities, to feel those possibilities.
So I like the dream, like the vision, and the possibilities for the future. It really excites me. I know it's probably going to excite the listeners as well. And I just want to say thank you for hopping on and having this conversation with me, and just being able to talk about our collections and the cards that we like to enjoy. And so, Anthony, you got any last kind of thoughts, hot takes, anything you want to leave us with before we hop off here?
No, it's just I'm so grateful that I got to meet you at that Chantilly show and then spend time with you. I think it was 2 nationals ago in Atlantic City, right? Like where we were doing a lot of hanging out, and to see you kind of come on the scene and just be willing to make an impact the way that you're making an impact for card collectors. I'm grateful for people like yourself, because with the information and the education that you're helping to provide, it's going to help grow out our space. So I'm grateful that I got to know you way back in the day, and that we're continuing on this journey together and sharing moments like this. I'm grateful to be on with you, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are very kind words to share, and I'm grateful for you as well. And I hope that our listeners will hop in, follow you, stay up to date with the show, follow the show as well, and come join us in Cleveland. It's going to be a great experience. So this is another Pitchside Chat. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope everyone has enjoyed the listen so far. Have a great one.